So today we are making beef vegetable soup. And to make beef vegetable soup, you're going to need the following equipment. A knife, a spatula, a can opener, a vegetable peeler, a few bowls to put your prep work in, and a glorious assistant. Today, my glorious assistant is Tina! Da-da-da-da. So Tina, in order to make beef vegetable soup, obviously we need ground beef.
Any kind of ground beef?
Good question. I like for soups, I like to be very lean ground beef, like a 90% or less in terms of fat, because you don't want the fat sitting on top of the soup.
Oh, okay.
If I'm doing a hamburger, I obviously want more fat content, but for soup, I want a lean beef.
Okay.
Vegetables, you can cut your own, but I prefer to use
Soup medley.
I prefer to actually use frozen vegetables. These are mixed vegetables, or
Soup mixed vegetables.
or you can use, cleverly enough, soup mixed vegetables.
Love it.
Which has everything in there.
And it's potatoes as well. Little potatoes.
And it does have potatoes, but today I'm going to actually use the mixed vegetables, and we're going to add our own potatoes.
Okay.
And addition to that, so we have our potatoes over there. We are going to need salt and pepper, but we're going to need those over at the stove. We're going to need tomatoes. I like canned.
Crushed and diced.
I have crushed and diced, and I'll tell you why. When you do crushed, it gives it more of a thicker texture.
Okay.
And a more of a tomatoey feel, but I like the texture of having a little bit of diced. Now you can do it all diced.
Yeah.
If you want. It's just it's how you like your soup to be chunky or not chunky.
The crushed gives it more of like a rainy day comfort food kind of
Yes,
consistency.
definitely.
Gotcha.
So the other ingredients we're going to need are some beef stock. I prefer my homemade beef stock, but we don't have that today, so we're going with
Another day.
boxed beef stock. Another day. And as I said, what we're using doesn't have potatoes, so we're going to need to peel our potatoes and chop them.
Okay.
And we're going to need our spices. And for a spice, we're going to use bay leaf,
Okay.
onion and garlic, which we're going to prep in just a second.
Okay.
And this is thyme, which I cut out of the yard.
Oh, okay.
But if you don't have fresh thyme, you can actually buy it at Whole Foods or any grocery store.
Fresh thyme.
Fresh thyme is carried in most grocery stores. Or you can just simply use
The dried.
dried. So today we're going to use the fresh. For this, I probably use a half a teaspoon.
Okay, since it's more concentrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is what we're going to be using today. So first we're going to do our prep work.
Okay.
And before we do our prep work, we're always going to make sure we have a nice little edge on our knife. You have a honing tool at your house, but unfortunately I don't have one because I think I gave you mine.
Oh.
So I'm just going to take the block that we use to sharpen the knives, and I'm going to run it across the block a couple of times and just make sure that our edge is nice and crisp.
Okay.
And we're going to put this away. So we're going to take our knife. First thing we're going to work is our onion.
Okay.
And chopping our onion, we go stem to stern, top to bottom, to make our first cut. 45-degree with them, and just come down. All right?
Yeah.
Then we're going to, this is the only time that you have the onion on the rocky edge. I just can't get it to go the other way. You go almost through the skin, till you got the little piece of skin left. You're just going to peel it back. And we're going to peel that back and pitch it. All right. The next step in chopping our onion is place it flat.
Yeah.
Okay? Palm of your hand on top. You're going to put the edge of your knife about halfway up the onion. See where the onion is?
Yeah.
And you, with the palm of your hand flat, you're going to slice in towards the root of the onion.
Okay.
But not all the way through.
Okay.
All right? Then you're going to turn the root away from you, point into the thing, and just push down. And you're going to make little slits in the onion. Okay? Making sure that our fingers stay out of the way. Yeah, intact. Yes, that's a very good point. So once you do that, you're going to turn the root to the side again. And with your fingers crouched back, because we don't want to cut our fingertips off. Fingertip soup would not be good. And we're going to slice down. And we use the back of our knuckles kind of as a guideline.
Wow.
Okay, so as I get down here to the tip of my onion,
Yeah.
the root of my onion, I'm going to cut the little bit off. So now it's flat again. And I make one more cross, and then I'm just going to throw that away.
Okay.
Don't need that. Okay, and then we're going to do the other side.
All right.
Okay, so that's about a cup of onion.
Okay.
And what we're doing is going to be about, that's 2 pounds of veggies. There's our cup of onion. And so we're going to use about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of meat.
Okay.
To 2 pounds of veggies. I like more veggies than I like meat. But if you like it more meat, just simply put more meat in when you do. Now we're going to do a garlic. I've separated 2 cloves of garlic off of the main thing. Take the 2 cloves, put my knife flat, smash. All right, that separated them. Now to get the skin off, take it again, 1 clove,
I'm always
and it smashes.
so worried about cutting your hand on that.
Well, you use the heel of your hand. You don't use your
looks like
fingers.
you're smashing.
I don't think you're gonna cut your fingers, but if you do, call me. I'll meet you at the emergency room. All right, so now we have our clove of garlic. The skin is removed. You can see the skin just pops off once you
smash it.
Once you smash it. I'm gonna put a couple of slices. I don't do it like this because I could slip, but so the camera can see it. I'm gonna move it a little bit. So you're just cutting into it. Again, we don't like the butts, so you don't have to go all the way to the end. Turn it to the side, and then with your knuckles as a guide, just chop through. Okay, it's our first piece of garlic. Take it, put it in our little bowl. Okay, so that's our garlic and our onion. The only other thing we need to prep are our potatoes.
Okay.
So I know you know how to peel a potato, so why don't I let you peel the potatoes?
Okay.
So before you start to peel your potato, you're gonna take your bowl. You're gonna put some ice in it. You're gonna put about halfway up with cold water.
Okay.
And then after you get the potatoes peeled,
You put the chunks.
we're gonna chop the potato and put it in there so it doesn't turn brown.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, Tina, we're gonna prep our potatoes. We've got our onions and garlic done. You've got your ice water. We're gonna put it so that we have the thinnest side up.
Okay.
All right? That makes, sorry, it's gonna give us a flatter edge when we go to chop. So we're gonna stem to stern.
Yeah.
All right? We're going to, now we can lay our potato flat.
Okay.
We're gonna make 1, 2, 3. Okay?
Like fries.
Yeah. Kind of like fries, you're right. And then we're gonna chop. Remember? Knuckles is our guideline. Okay, so we're gonna throw them in our ice water. Ice water is gonna do 2 things for us.
Each section's about this big.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is soup, so
Just small enough to fit on a spoon.
as long as it'll fit on the spoon, I don't care. If you want fancier potatoes, I can show you how to cut those. Maybe on another day. And our prep work is done. Completed. Da, 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 da. And we can start cooking. All right, Tina, I have 2 pots out. There's a reason.
Okay.
This is basic stock pot. It's less surface on the bottom, but it's deeper.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have less chance of spilling over.
Mhm.
This pot, more of a Dutch oven, but you can brown your ground beef a little faster because it's got more surface area. This pot, stainless steel, and it has, because it's stainless steel, if I'm using this pot, I'm probably gonna have to put a little bit of oil in it to keep to keep it from sticking, the onion from sticking.
Oh, okay.
But because this is coated with this nice black surface, it doesn't stick as much.
Okay.
So we're going to turn it on a pretty low heat. We're going to use this pot. And we're going to, on our medium low heat, throw our garlic in. And we're going to throw our onion in. And we're going to let that sweat a little.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you understand?
Just get it hot enough so that the oil is released from it. But
Yes.
Not.
So we want this to come out to be kind of translucent. Would you hand me our handy dandy spatula over there that I was showing you earlier? So the handy dandy spatula, we're just going to kind of move it around so that it's on the surface area of the pot. Oh, well, of course, the minute I pick it up, that didn't work. So we just want it evenly distributed around the bottom of the pot. We don't. Okay. So we're letting this get a little bit translucent. This is soup, so we don't have to cook it quite as much as we would if you were doing like a sauce or something else. We're just going to let it get a little bit translucent. And I'm going to talk to you about it. All right. So you brought me today 3 pounds of hamburger.
Yeah.
There's no way that I'm going to use all 3 pounds.
Well, better safe than sorry.
That's true. And we can save the rest of it for, I don't know, meatloaf or chili or whatever you want to consume. So I'm gonna divide this and take about half of it. That's not even close to being half. There we go.
Is this brown normal?
Yeah, the brown here
Yeah.
means that it has oxidized.
Okay.
Because when blood is
Yeah.
there, it oxidizes.
Is that still safe to eat though?
Yes, it is safe. And the best way that you can tell, I mean, it's hamburger. We don't know. We assume that it's been handled safely and that you've handled it safely. But if it smells like hamburger,
Yeah.
and not something that you should be throwing away, then it's probably
so
okay.
it has a pretty strong smell.
Yeah, if it feels at all slimy, if it smells bad, throw it away. It's just not, it's not worth it. So give that a little stir. So this is kind of a milky color. It's not exactly translucent, but it's starting to soften up, and that's fine. So we're gonna, it's good enough for my part. We're gonna start to throw our hamburger in here and kind of break it up as we go. This hamburger is not especially cold. It's kind of room temperature at this point. So breaking it up with my fingers is going to be a lot easier than breaking it up with my spatula. So right now the garlic and the onion are underneath and they're continuing to cook. And we're going to brown this beef. So we're going to continue to move it around the pot, not continuously. We'll let it sit for a little while, cook, and then we'll move it around the pot. And as we move it, it will begin to cook, and it'll start to separate so that it is in nice sized chunks, like about that, that big, so that you easily fit it on a spoon.
Yes.
This is, after all, soup. And now that the meat is in here, and as the meat cooks, it's giving you off juices. I'm going to turn the temperature up just a little bit. So now up to about medium. It helps the ground beef is going to brown a little better. So at this stage, we have the onion and the garlic and the hamburger. You've got a very basic kind of situation. So today we're making soup. What else could you make from here?
Chili.
Yeah, chili would be easy.
Taco meat.
Taco meat would be good. I mean, once you've got your garlic, your onion, and your hamburger,
Oh wow.
where you go from here depends on the seasoning and what you plan to do with it as your end result.
Okay.
So we're going to add those. Of course, anytime you add something that isn't cooking temperature, it's going to bring the cooking temperature down for a minute. So we've added our veggies. Very colorful.
Oh, that's a good idea.
All right, so we're adding our can of tomatoes. And I'm going to take your beef stock here that you brought over for me. Beef stock. Put a little in here, rinse out the rest of the tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Fold the can lid back under.
Recycle.
Put that in the recycling, because we recycle. All right, pour the remainder of this box.
And why chicken stock beef stock rather than beef broth?
Okay, do you know what the difference between beef stock and beef broth is?
I do, but let's tell everyone else.
Okay, the difference between beef stock and beef broth is protein.
Mm-hmm.
Beef stock is made when the bones are raw and still have the marrow in them.
Okay.
This is this is really more on the beef brothy side. Because it's thin. Mm-hmm. When you see homemade beef stock, it's going to look like gelatin, because that's going to show you the protein, because it's that protein that's congealing.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to continue to add this and get it up above the tomatoes so that the tomatoes do not cause our soup to burn. I'm gonna adjust the temperature here. We've got it on the high eye, so I don't want it to like boil. I want it to simmer. And we're gonna take our potatoes, kind of shake out the water, add them gently so that we don't spatter ourselves. Like that. You want to grab the other, okay, so you see now my vegetables are now no longer covered by my stock.
Okay.
So grab me the other box of beef stock. We're going to raise, again, we want to make sure our vegetables are covered. Now, like I said before, I like chunks in my soup, so I'm going to put this small can of diced tomatoes. And the tomatoes I'm using today do not have any added ingredients. It's just tomatoes.
Okay.
Frequently, when you buy tomatoes today, they'll have oregano or basil, or, I mean, you kind of have to read your tomatoes. Tomato can, but this is just plain diced tomatoes. And I'm going to give that a little bit of a stir. Kind of try to start to pull that beef off of the bottom and mix it up. And again, our veggies are only barely covered, so I'm going to add some more stock, because as this simmers, it's going to
reduce the liquid.
It is going to reduce the liquid. So, now we see how we're moving freely now. Put a little more in. All right. So now is the time. This is going to cook at this stage once you get it up to simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. But before we do that, I'm going to add, would you grab my bay leaf and my thyme? Okay. As this is, in all honesty, if you don't mind fishing it out, you just throw the whole thing in.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
You have to find it.
But then you have to find it. Or you end up serving somebody a stem, and that's never pleasant. So I'm just going to pull this off. Just grab it and pull down. Goes right into
Well, you can smell that.
Yeah, can you smell that
Yeah.
thyme? Once you pull it off, it really releases. And if you'll grab me a bay leaf out of there, just one. Now, unfortunately, there's no way about it. You just have to pull the bay leaf out. You have to fish around until you find it and then pull it out.
Okay.
Just no other way.
Just one?
Just one.
Oh.
I assume that, the beef stock was cooked with some spices in it. Although I don't know what. I guess we could read the box, but you don't know how powerful. So, because it's soup, I want
It's bay, thyme, and pepper.
Okay. Because this is, a fairly mild soup, I want to keep everything kind of homogeneous. I don't want any one flavor to be pronounced. I want it to kind of all blend in together. All right. So, there is our soup. I'm going to give it a small stir.
Salt and pepper.
Okay. We are not going to salt and pepper right now.
What?
The reason we're not going to salt and pepper is that we have used pre-made stock. And unless it says unsalted, it's loaded with sodium.
Oh, okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to let our veggies cook in with the seasoning. And in 10 minutes, we're going to come back and do a little taste test and see how much salt is in that. And then we will add we will add salt if it needs it. But we're only going to add pepper right before we get ready to serve it.
Okay.
Because if we add our pepper now,
You won't taste it.
the pepper's just going to dissipate. See how it's starting to simmer here along the edges? The little bitty boil right there. It's just a tiny little bit of movement. That's as much as we want. We don't want it to be like all bubbly and boiling.
Yeah.
You just don't need it. It's going to evaporate.
Evaporate?
Yes, it is going to evaporate faster, and it's going to make the veggies kind of more mushy.
Oh, okay.
I don't want mushy vegetables. So the only time I crank it up and let it boil is when everybody's going, I'm hungry, I'm starved, what's for dinner? I need it now. So yeah, I have done that. So right now, top off. Don't need to put a top on.
Okay.
We're just going to let it simmer for about probably 10-12 minutes. We're going to come back, taste test, and see where it's at.
Okay.
So while the soup is cooking, if you want some little crostatinis to go with your soup, typically use day-old bread or 2-day-old bread or however stuff that's no longer you want to eat anymore. And I simply take a baking sheet. Well, this is technically a jelly roll pan, but we use it for baking. This is a little olive oil. And I'm just going to swish it around a little. No particular way. And it's going to be lumpy in some places and thin in the other one. That's fine. I'm going to take the breads. I'm going to lay them flat on the sheet. Now, if you wanted garlic tasting or some sort of herb, you would have put it down on the with the oil, and then laid the stuff on top of it. I tend to keep it very simple. Would you like to grab the sea salt over there? I like using kosher salt better, but I don't have kosher salt today, so we'll leave that one out. He's not going to be much of a So I'm just cutting these maybe 1/4 of an inch, very thin. So it's going to come out like kind of like a cracker. And I have my oven preheated to a 400 degree. This is a 400 degree. I have it heated to a 400 degree broil, largely because my oven is not working really great right now, and I can't get it to go 400 degree bake. So we're just gonna have to watch them like a hawk.
Okay, make sure they don't burn.
Then yeah, because they're gonna go. Being on broil, I like bake better because it's bake would make them crispy without making them brown. This is gonna make them brown.
Okay.
I just can't get any. The only way I can think of it to do is lower the temperature, or get the oven fixed. Unfortunately, I've tried that 3 times and the guy cannot figure it out. Okay. So.
You don't put new olive oil over top of it?
No.
Oh, okay.
A little salt. You don't want to hit them too hard, otherwise they're really salty.
Yeah.
Over the shoulder, rest in the sink. I'm going to take them over, and my oven currently is only up to 270 degrees, which I guess that's a blessing. I'm going to put them on the top rack. I don't have it very close. I never do anything very close. I simply raise the temperature if I need more. But it's 400. I have it set at 400, even though it's not there yet. So we are going to go grab the mitts, and we are going to watch this sucker bake. So
That was quick.
That was quick. Get back there. See now, when you flip them over, the little side that got exposed to the olive oil gives it just a hint of olive oil. It's not not a very strong. All right, back in there. We're gonna watch them fast because they're gonna go fast.
They're going so fast.
They're gonna go really fast. Yes! Voila! We have croquettes. Now, the favorite part.
Yeah.
After blowing upon it, because it's
Is it
quite
hot?
warm. It is
Yeah.
hot. It is warm. We're going to take a little taste. Need salt.
Need salt.
Not much though. Gonna take a little salt. This, because the stock is so heavily salted, we do not need that much salt. Christina, would you do the pepper, please? There you have it.
With a little crust.
With a little crust.